Learners, welcome back to our segment today. I am your instructor, CPA Ringo Frederick, and today's session is a continuation of what we are doing. Yeah, where in our last class, remember, we had introduced the concept of Hamada Model, and in Hamada Model, we clearly define and also agree that these are model whereby you'll be integrating two factors or two components. There's a component to do with the Modigliani and Miller, as well as a component to do with the capital asset pricing model, commonly referred to as CAPM. We went ahead and looked at it into a deeper perspective. So in our class today, my good students, is a matter of us confirming the concept that we did in our previous class. And that is to say, I want us to handle a question which will enable us to understand the concept of Hamada very well. So to do that, we have, of course, this question from our past paper, which was tested in, of course, not very long ago, but it was tested in April 2022. I'm going to share this question with us here so that all we can be able to view this question. So this is a question tested in April 2022, question number 1. Specifically, I am looking at part B of the question. Specifically, we are talking of part B of the question. Yeah. I believe that the question is very visible to us. I believe that the question is very visible to us so that we can go through it together. Yeah. So these are what you're told that I'm having Dansoft Limited is a juice processing firm which is solely equity financed. The company board of directors are considering diversifying the operations by entering into the soda processing industry. So number 1, you're told that it was unlevered, equity finance purely. Additional information provided as follows. You're told that the current unlevered equity beta is 1.4 for Dansoft Limited and 1.5 for the soda processing industry, respectively. The gearing in the soda processing industry is on average of 40%. Hence, the capital structure comprised of 40 debt and 60% equity. That is for soda processing company. Yeah, where we're told that the return on market portfolio is 15%. The risk-free rate of return is 12%. Debt finance is considered to be risk-free. The debt finance is considered to be risk-free. Okay. The Hamada model should be used to determine the levered equity beta, whereas not for you're told that the cost of equity will be determined using the capital asset pricing model. Many a times, of course, to determine the cost will always be using what? CAPM. So it is important that you do understand how to determine or how to achieve our cost of equity using CAPM. Note 8, you're told that we're having corporation tax rate, which is a rate of 30%. Required, a good examiner here wants us to determine, recommend the suitable discounting rate that the new investment, so the new investment will be what? The new investment, of course, is for soda. Recommend the suitable discounting rate for the new investment if the directors were to finance the new projects as follows. I'm having 20% debt and 80% equity, whereas I'm also given another option, 50% debt and 50% equity. Hamada model, I'm given, this is the beauty part, yeah? The beauty part here is that a good examiner has given us the model or the formula where I'm told like the beta of levered beta I'm given there, which for us determine the levered beta I'm having, unlevered beta, which is BU, into 1 plus, into bracket 1 minus T, debt to equity ratio, which I'm given there. A good examiner is giving us how many marks? 4 good marks. 4 good marks. So clearly at this point, my good students will find that this is exactly the same concept that Mwalimu had guided us earlier on when we were introducing the Hamada concept. You see, where we mentioned that for us to determine this beta, these are BL, these are levered beta, or term it as the equity beta, which you had it here. We'll be having 1 plus into 1 minus T, this is the tax rate, times our debt to equity ratio, whereas BU, these are unlevered beta, or rather the asset beta. So clearly, at this point, Mwalimu had already guided us on this in our previous class, right? Mwalimu had guided us on this in our previous class. We also went ahead and reminded ourselves on the concept of CAPEM, where CAPEM, we said that we're talking of the risk-free plus expected return of the market minus risk-free of the beta of the security. That is what Mwalimu reminded us. The beauty part is we are still having it there. We've not yet erased. Yeah? So, looking at that question, a good examiner wants us to determine this Hamada model. These are, of course, April. We've seen that it is April, of course, 2022. Question number 1B, April 2022. We have in April 2022. Question number 1B. Yeah. So always, anytime you are handling the component, let me share the question so that you have it on the side as we are working it out. Let me see if that will fit. Yeah. So we have it here on the side. I want it to be very, very visible so that when you are talking, of course, you're having point of reference. I think it will work on that end. Yeah. So at this point, my good students, it is important to note that anytime you are dealing with this, it is important to remind ourselves that the good examiner wants us to determine the suitable discounting rate for the new investment, right? If the directors were to finance the project using whatever that you're given there. So you'll find that many a times always advisable that anytime you are to determine our discount rate, in this case, anytime you have to determine your discount rate at this point, ideally, what you want to look at is the weighted average cost of capital of the firm, weighted average cost of capital of the leverage firm, because you're given the component of debt. So all that we are required to determine is WACC. So my good students, the question would be, do you guys still remember how to determine the WACC, right? Because remember, anytime you read about WACC, you should all recall that you're talking of the weight of equity times the cost of equity. Because you're having two components here, so you're going to add the weight of debt times the cost of debt, but this is after tax cost of debt. That is after tax cost of debt. This is WACC, and we looked at it in the previous class, and we're also looking at it now. So once we know that, then we proceed ahead and see what a good examiner wants us to determine at this point. So once we have that, we know very well that the next concept or what will be required to do next here is for us to recall, if at all we can, because ideally the good examiner wants us to determine what? The discounting rate, right? The discounting rate. And we are told to use what? CAPEM, if you can check it clearly there. We are told that, look at note 7, the cost of equity will be determined using the capital asset pricing model. Will be determined using the capital asset pricing model. So it is very important then for us to know that in the event that I'm required to use CAPEM, in this case, we want to use CAPEM. It is very important for us to remember this formula of ours here, where we are talking of the risk-free. We add the expected return here, the expected return, of course, of we're having the expected return of the market minus our risk-free. This time round, we have to multiply by the beta, yeah? So about beta. And what are we looking at? We are looking at beta of the levered firm. You see, beta of the levered firm, beta of the geared firm, because we having a component of debt. And that's why we're talking about what? The beta of the levered farm. That's why you're having beta of L. So once I have these elements, it's as if we are good to go with that question. Remember, Mwalimu is trying to break it down in a sense that you guys must be able to understand it very clearly. So for this case, a good examiner has told us that we are supposed to use a Hamada model. And you know very well, for us to use Hamada model, to determine beta of the levered, we are given there to take beta of the unlevered farm, right? We multiply by, of course, 1 plus into 1 minus t. All this we are going to multiply by what? Debt to equity ratio. That is what our good examiner has given us here. This is what our good examiner has given us there, right? So the next question is, do we have these elements? Do we have these elements, my good students? That's the next question. Will be like, we don't have this and we are supposed to determine them. We are supposed to determine this. So I'm going to take it exactly the way it is. We need to determine the beta of the levered farm. So beta of the levered farm here, what are we going to do? We go check what you are given, and whatever that I was given in our question, believe the question is still there, which you can check it out. I want you guys to check on note number, the way we are given beta, note 1, additional information. We are told that the current unlevered equity beta is 1.4 for Dansoft Limited and 1.5 for the soda processing industry, respectively. The unlevered beta. BU, we've said it is unlevered beta. So I'm given 1.5 here. So I'll be taking my 1.5. We multiply by 1 plus, right, into what? 1 minus t. Were we given our tax rate? Yes, we were given our tax rate. So I'll be having 1 minus 0.3 being our tax rate. We multiply by debt to equity ratio. The first case you are told, we are supposed to consider the first component where we are talking of 20% debt and 80% equity. Yeah. So the first case you're told, I'm having 20% debt and 80% equity. So we can agree we'll be talking of 20% debt, which is 0. You can take 0.2. Yeah, we take 0.2 of 0.8. If 20% is there, that is to say 80% will be equity. So this will give us the first bit of the component of what? Of beta. So beta of levered farm for the next ratio, we can work it out together. The same concept will apply where I'll be having 1.5 times 1 plus 1 minus 0.3, right, times the next ratio we are given 0.5 debt and 0.5 equity as per the question there. So whatever that we want to determine here first is for us to determine the beta, the unlevered beta. Once we have determined that, the next segment will be very, very easy. The next segment will be very, very easy. So I'm going to take my calculator. I start working it out where I know very well I'll consider, first of all, we start with the bracket, following board mass, 0.7. We multiply by 0.2, divide by 0.8. Yeah, 1 plus answer, 1.5 times answer. So what beta are you getting? Mwalimu is getting 1.7. Mwalimu is getting 1.7. You can confirm with what you're having, guys. The first case, Mwalimu is getting 1.7. You can confirm with what you're having, because it is that will assist us to compute the next component. Take your time, determine that. Just follow your board math. Or better still, you can work it out directly, because at this point I'm getting, where's my blue pen? At this point, Mwalimu is getting 1.765. If at all you can work it out directly, considering that you're having, you take this 1.5 times, you open your bracket, this is 1 plus, you open your bracket, 1 minus 0.3, you close your bracket, times 0.2 divided by 0.8, close your bracket. So you'd find that you're getting it the way Mwalimu is getting there. The other bit here, considering for the second ratio, I'll be having the same case, 1.5. I open my bracket, 1 plus open bracket, 1 minus 0.3, I close bracket, times 0.5 divided by 0.5, I close my bracket. In this case, I'm getting 2.55. 2.55. I need you guys to confirm if at all you're achieving the same case as what Mwalimu is getting. Yeah? So once we have that, the next question will be for us to determine, of course, our WACC. Yeah? Or the next thing here to determine before WACC, actually, because this will be our final bit, what will be required to do, I need to determine our CAPEM, cost of equity, right? KE CAPEM. So we're starting with 20 to 80%. Using CAPEM, we are told that I'm having risk-free plus expected return of the market minus risk-free into beta of the levered. And at this point, we've determined already the beta of the levered firm. Yeah? Step by step. Step by step. Risk-free. Were we given our risk-free, my good students? Were we given our risk-free rate? Yes, we were given our risk-free rate. And why is Mwalimu saying that we are given our risk-free rate? I want you to check on note number 4. The risk-free rate of return is 12%. So having our formula, I'll be having 12 risk-free. We take expected return of the market. Do we have expected return of the market? If you check on note number 3, the return on market portfolio is 15%. Yeah, is 15%. So I'm having 15 minus 12. Beta of the levered. Beta of the levered on the first case, I'm having 1.7625. See, as simple as that. As simple as that. What about the next item? The next item, of course, to consider at this point, we should be having what? Remember, these are percentages always, yeah? These are percentages, don't forget. So we determine the cost of equity, 50%, 50%. This will not change. 12 plus 15% minus 12%. All these are percentages actually. Times beta of that combination we'll be having, of course, we are talking of 2.5. 2.55, yeah? So 2.55. So what will we be having there? What will we be having there? We take our calc. We are having 15 minus 12 times 1.765 plus 12 to give me 17.2875, confirm. 17.2875, confirm. So I'd be having 17.2875%. The other one, I'm having 15 minus 12 times 2.55, 12 plus answer 19.65. See, as simple as that. So once we have this in mind, where we determine the component cost, cost of equity, and of course, we have the cost of debt. So the next segment will be very simple. Should Mwalimu leave it for us to determine that next item? Or we'll say, Mwalimu, kindly, with a lot of respect, do your work. Fanya kazi yako Mwalimu. Fanya kazi yako Mwalimu. So how will we go about it? Yeah? This will be very simple. This will be very simple. Why? Because the next thing to do is to determine our weighted average cost of capital. Yeah? Our WACC for the levered farm. WACC of this farm that you're taking, which is levered. I'll be taking my cost of equity. We start with 2080. So I'll be taking our cost of equity, or we start with our weight. Our weight of equity is 80, right, percent. So I'm having 0.8, that is our weight. Yeah, that is our weight, 0.8. It is our weight as per what you're having there. Times the cost of equity, which will determine it to be 7.2875%. We are going to add weight of debt, in this case is 0.2. We multiply by the cost of debt, but after tax. What were we given as our cost of debt? Our cost of debt, if you can check, my good students, in note number 5, debt finance is considered, look at that case, debt finance is considered to be risk-free. Debt finance is considered to be risk-free. So I'm having my weight times the 12%, that is the debt that I was given to be risk-free, but this should be 1 minus t, 1 minus 0.3. Yeah, after tax, cost of debt. After tax, cost of debt. So what will we be having there? And the other item, weighted average cost of capital for levered, in this case, you're looking at 50. The same concept will apply. I'll be having the weight now to be 0.5 times the cost, which now is 19.65, yeah, into the aspect of debt, weight is 0.5 times our cost, which in this case it will not change, 12 times 1 minus 0.3. See, my good students, as simple as that, whereby Mwalimu has tried to be as low as he can, so that at least we master and understand the concept right. So, having that, if we work it out, what will we be having? Yeah? what will we be having? I need you to give Mwalimu the solution of that then. I can now remove this question very comfortably because you have everything and we've used the question to work it out. So you can literally remove the question. So that at this point, whatever that we'll be having, therefore, I should be talking of the cost here, the first bit, bracket 0.8 times 17.2875, I close bracket, plus 0.2 times bracket 12 times 0.7. So in this case, kindly confirm. On my end, Mwalimu is getting 15.51%. 15.51%, or just 15.1. We know very well it is in percentage. The other one, I should be talking of open bracket 0.5 times 19.5, close bracket, plus open bracket, or plus 0.5, open bracket, 12 times 0.7. I'm getting 13.95. Kindly, you can confirm if at all we are arriving at the same concept. Because that is 12 times 0. We've said, confirm if at all you're getting that, or Mwalimu is getting his own things. So you're saying 0.5, open bracket, 0.5 times 19 point, I can see someone is saying there, Mwalimu, calculate again. 0.5 plus, we open bracket, 0.5 times open bracket, that is 12 times 0.7. Yeah? Oh, yeah, that is correct. 14.025. 14.025. So you're having 14.025. So you'll find that this is now what we will be having in this case. You see? This is now what we'll be having in that case. So we can all agree the suitable discounting rate for the new investment in the directors, if the directors would finance the project as follows. So of course we go with the cheapest here, which will be what? This ratio of 50-50, it is favorable, because you'll find that as what you mentioned, where my debt is, you'll find that the market value of the farm will increase and the cost will also be low, right? That's what we did when you're looking at Modigliani and Miller prepositions. So at this point, there are so many questions in relation to this. In our next class, I'll also want us to handle another question whereby you are asked of the suitable cost, the suitable cost to be adopted, cost of capital of cost to be adopted. So this is Hamada model, and you've seen, if at all you can relate with what we did from the word go, the concept is quite easy and interesting, yeah? So at this point, I want you guys to join me in the next class, whereby we're going to do another question for Hamada, so that at least it should sink in very well at the back of our mind. To that point, thank you so much. See you in our next class. Bye-bye.